All right, let's see. There we go. We're recording. So the problem with the YouTube for Chapter 8 is I had a video embedded in there. It looks like it's playing on your Moodle, so they'll try it. They'll keep it there, and if it's a problem, then I'll just load the whole video up. But let me know how that goes. So we're on Chapter 10. Let's get going on that. Actually, no, we're on Chapter 11. Chapter 10 was from earlier. Earlier in the COVID situation that we have, but let's go to Chapter 11. Excuse me. There we are. And let's go to beginning. And get out my pen. There we go. So, Chapter 11 again, health and well-being. So, health psychology, a field that covers research and health on healthy behaviors, and it's different than regular psychology, which they study various things, right? You have memory, you have learning, blah 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 blah. This is looking at how people can be healthy. That's the whole idea. Well-being, the positive state, optimal health, life satisfaction. The biopsychosocial model, and here we are. The idea here is that each of these things influence each of the others, and it actually goes both ways. Biopsychosocial. So in particular, things like, with mental illness, we'll talk about biopsychosocial quite a lot because biologically there can be nervous system, so maybe neurotransmitters, thoughts, cognitive ideas, cultural and environmental. All this stuff will lead to the treatment, the cause and treatment of mental illness, and certainly the cause of health and illness as well. So most of the things today, well, all but one. So most of the leading cause of death in the Western world are behavioral diseases. So heart disease, smoking, strokes, smoking, high blood pressure, lung disease like cancer, also smoking, lack of exercise, diabetes, etc. Diabetes mellitus, it's actually diabetes mellitus type 2, by the way. Various other types of cancers, suicide, and accidents. Now, the third leading cause of death currently is COVID-19. And so we're over 300,000 at the time of this dictation. And so that's the COVID-19 is the leading cause of, or the third leading cause of death behind heart disease and cancers. Just while I'm looking at it, I'm going to see, where are we? How many people do we have? I'm going to just look up the Johns Hopkins. Go away. There we are. Just going to find out how many there are. There's 319, almost 320,000 deaths in the United States as of right at this moment. So it's now the third leading cause of death, and it's infectious. Although you can say this behavioral as well, because people don't wear masks, they don't follow all the public health stuff. So in a sense, it too is behavioral. Generally, people are living longer. This is over time. However, let me get this turned to green. White males are dropping off. White males are having a less lifespan, mainly due to suicides and opiates. So that's interesting. They're dying more. So African Americans, Native Americans have a lower life expectancy, access to healthcare, dietary and exercise habits. But again, the gap is closing with the white males between 25 and 54, again, due to opiate overdoses and suicides. Worldwide, it's infectious diseases, in particular HIV, still HIV, AIDS, rotavirus, diarrhea. And people, especially kids, will get really bad diarrhea. And if you just had Gatorade or something like that, you'd be fine. But they don't have that in third world nations, I guess you could call them. And malaria is a very big killer, very common, especially in Africa, but also in other parts of the world, India, Southeast Asia, but mainly Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa at that. And your textbook has some pictures of healthy people. These are from Okinawa. Yep. In particular, this is Japanese, but Okinawa in particular, they live quite a while. When they do, they're always kind of walking around, and they eat good food, and they don't smoke. So placebo, so I think they have a placebo effect here. I mean, they might have taken out some of the placebo. Yeah, this is one of the things they've taken out. But I keep it in because it's really interesting. So placebo is where it's nothing, right? It's a sugar pill, or actually they don't usually even have sugar in them. It's just inert subject, substance passes through you. But they treat about 1/3 of the cases get better, no matter what it is, with placebo. And it's not just like depression or anxiety, but it's like blood pressure. It's everything. They have to have placebos. They always have to have a placebo-controlled arm to see if medications work or not. Most illnesses improve without treatment. There's an idea of regression to the mean. Okay, so here's the mean. If you're sick out here, better get a different color for being sick out there. Here, the next time they measure you, just statistically, you're more likely to go to average. So that's what that means. It's just sort of regression to the mean. Double-blind placebos. If you believe placebos work, they work better. If the 2 placebos are better than 1, okay, sure, why not? IV placebo is better than oral. The PO is oral placebo, so it must be better because it's IV. Yeah, it's very strange. Placebos are really quite strange. Obesity. This gets back to this behavioral affecting mental and physical health. So obesity, body mass index, weight to height ratio. Excuse me. This is kind of a quick and dirty way of measuring obesity. It's not really that accurate because it doesn't measure muscle mass. Because of that, it's people can be look like they're obese, but really they're just big and strong. Western nations tend to have more obesity. Mexico apparently is the heaviest nation overall. I'm not sure if that's true. This is a few years old, the slide. So there's a lot of obesity. The States has a lot. And here's BMI. So 18 to 25 is what you kind of want. Again, there's some, it's hard to say how accurate these are, but again, it's sort of quick and dirty. People are generally the most overweight is about the same. Obese is going up, and extremely obese is also going up to some degree. And so it is increasing. So meta-analysis, slightly overweight has a lower chance of dying. Extreme obesity has higher rates, of course. Various studies, right? Studies vary on this. Various study vary. How about that? Kind of redundant vary. And so it's overall, yes, obesity does impair your health, but it's a fairly complex situation. Fat is stored if it's in the abdominal fat and metabolic syndrome. So it's more within the abdominal cavity. You get high blood sugars, insulin resistance. It's like just this side of diabetes type 2, diabetes mellitus type 2. So it's worldwide increasing. People get to better health. They get some more, they get put on weight. We have easier access to food, buffets, chocolate, potato chips, those things, soda pop, depending on what part of the country you're from. And we tend to eat more and have larger portions. So this is true. And here's a variety of diet. These are rats. So if you have a control diet, high calorie foods would gain weight. In controlled diet, they would gain some weight, but not as much. And this is how old the rats are. So let's see. So is there social? Yes, there are social portions of with obesity. Of course, there are. There's also it's also socially contagious. If you're around heavier people, you tend to be heavier yourself, and vice versa. Around thinner people, you tend to be thinner yourself. About half the variation apparently is genetic. So let's see. Oh, can versus will. Okay, so can, you have the ability, will, you're determined. That's the difference there. And there's cultural variation in the stigma of obesity. Here's some islanders where there's not as much stigma, apparently. Here's the opposite. Here's the very sort of cachectic looking people. And sort of same, these are from, as you can see, these are from the earlier, where are we here? 4th edition. I kept them in because I think it really shows body habitus. These guys look horrible, actually. And this is from the current text. The people are fit, both kind of hang out together, right? People are playing basketball there, shooting some hoops, and then the lady sitting on the bench. And here's the other one. I think this was taken out too. Yeah, this basically showed kind of the opposite of this one. They used to have this picture instead of this picture. But, so how do you lose weight? Restrictive dieting does not work. So I mean, if you just it just doesn't work. You have to change your lifestyle, eat less, exercise more, and stop drinking soda pop. Actually, that's one of the things that I've had students throughout the years have been doing this, who heard that if you just stop drinking soda pop, you can lose weight. And sure enough, they stopped, and they did. It's kind of a cool thing. Eat less and exercise more. That's really about it. So World War II study. It's hard to lose weight. People became very anxious. This is people in the concentration camps. Lost interest in sex, but they're obsessed with eating. They think about eating all the time, which makes sense given how thin they are. And eating disorders, restrained eating. Let's get to anorexia nervosa. Let's just do this one. Yeah. So this is intense fear of becoming obese. Fear doesn't diminish with weight loss. Very disturbed body image. They see themselves as overweight, even though they're extremely thin. That's one of the key issues of anorexia nervosa. Now, they refuse to maintain body weight. They restrict and exercise, so they don't eat much. They exercise a lot. This is anorexia nervosa. Life-threatening illness. About 10% mortality left untreated. And so it's a life-threatening illness. Bulimia, binge eating. And then feeling guilty about the binge eating, and then you purge. You drink, make yourself vomit, use laxatives, that kind of thing. And one of the main issues with bulimia is their body shape and weight is just much of their self-image. It's kind of what they think about when they think about themselves. And then finally, binge eating disorder. This is a little bit different than bulimia. It's new to the DSM-5, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual 5. We'll talk about that in a few chapters. But they binge eat at least once a week. Okay, that's the idea, but they don't purge. Whereas bulimia, purge. Sorry, but that was that's embodied cognition for purging. That's what it is, actually, embodied cognition. Remember? So they don't purge, but they feel guilt and embarrassed. They have this is more common in males than females, which is as opposed to these two, which is more common in females. And here's the DSM-5 criteria for all that. Here's some pictures I kept in of people with anorexia nervosa. I mean, it's a life-threatening disease. So I don't know here's your textbook picture. You have this is, dying of anorexia. And then people do die of it. It's just really pretty sad. You have to sometimes go into inpatient units, and sometimes people have to have tube feedings. So it's quite severe. Yeah, it's hard to look at in a way, isn't it? I mean, they really look like these folks. Look like the concentration camp people. And it's the way they sort of are. Smoking still a leading cause of death. I think this is down now. I think it's more like 16%. Get the little percentage there. That wasn't very good, but you know what I mean. And I think it's reducing that. But now, so heart disease, COPD, various cancers, including lung cancer, but much of other ones too, strokes. Smoking always begins in childhood or in early adolescence. When we get to developmental, we'll talk about, or actually in developmental, sorry, we did that already, didn't we? We talked about the imaginary audience and the, I'm blanking on it now, a couple of things ago. Sorry. Where you think you're invulnerable. Oh my God, I can't remember. I'm having a tip of the tongue phenomena. Personal fable. There you go. Personal fable. Jeez, because you think you won't get addicted. Okay, you don't think you won't get addicted, but you do. Okay, now we have this vaping. This is bad. There's apparently, if you are a smoker and you go from smoking to vaping, that's good. This is better than smoking. But although the literature on this is not clear, I'll grant that. there might be a risk of going from e-cigarettes to just cigarettes smoking, but we don't really know. But we do know that just inhaling these vapors it does cause lung problems. We do know that, and it's not just the ones that was really really bad. So here's, excuse me, people are declining smoking. It used to be pretty high, holy moly, but now it's getting lower and lower. Here's the, I don't think they have this one on here. No, they don't have this one anymore. But this is more Dr. Smoke Camels. And this is they used to advertise it this way. I actually worked with a surgeon who smoked, and he died of a massive heart attack. So that's what happens. And here's some other pictures that I just kept in. Got some good wine and cigarettes and coffee there. These guys are toxic all over the place. Now it's kind of moving more. This is Tiananmen Square. Yeah, there's Chairman Mao, by the way, in the background there. Smoking, it's gone more international. Even to, where is this down? This is Indonesia. A semi-nomadic hunter-gatherer tribe in the coastal and rainforests region of Indonesia. So again, smoking's kind of gone worldwide. It has been worldwide. And here's more smokers. Smoking looks cool. Actually, the guy looks like somewhat disturbed. I mean, it's like, oh, look at those eyes. Some smoke cigarettes and you will die. Okay, that's too much. And here's the vaping. Just take all these things from your text. So how do you quit smoking? You get nicotine replacement, the patches, dopamine agonist antidepressants like Wellbutrin, bupropion. Have short-term goals instead of just quitting smoking. One of the problems is, heart disease and lung disease, lung cancers. Those are like down the road, right? So you don't really think about those. Right? You just want a cigarette now. But if you have short-term goals, if I want to breathe better, okay, I don't want to stink, that kind of thing. Oops, that should be go. 90% go cold turkey. They go cold turkey. They just stop smoking. Oftentimes it's some kind of an event. I heard of a case where this guy was going to get his child, like a 3-year-old child, from daycare, and sort of forgot about the child because he wanted to buy a pack of cigarettes. So it's like, oh my God, I chose cigarettes over my child. Exercise is good. Controls appetite, metabolism, burns calories, improves mood, increases brain pressure, volume, decreases blood pressure, etc., etc., etc. Exercise is really pretty good for you. Never too late to start exercising. And then we talked about with memory, doing exercising is one of the main ways of decreasing risk of Alzheimer's. So you want to do both aerobic and anaerobic, like in weightlifting. Doesn't have to be huge weightlifting, but you do want to have some weightlifting put in there. Stress. Now, this is a place where I may even want to not cover this because, as you see in this week's TED Talk, your attitude towards stress influences how much it affects you. So, yes, stress can be a problem. People living in stress is difficult. But if you have changed your way of viewing stress and make it into more of a challenge, and when you feel your body getting stressed out, that's your body preparing for it, people actually live better. They live longer lives and they're healthier. So I'm not going to, here's the stress scales. I'm going to just kind of skip over this because it turns out that it's all these scary things. And as you'll see on the TED Talk, the belief that stress is bad for you is the thing that kills you, as opposed to the stress itself. It's the belief that it's bad. So I'm going to skip over that because I don't want to believe it's bad. It actually makes you have connection. Oxytocin, we talked about that one. Making stress your friend. So stress is actually good for you, depending on how you face it. So these are the things they have. HbA axis. I got a picture of that. Yeah, here we go. Early adverse childhood experiences. This is something I do want you to keep in mind. There's a lot happening with early childhood experiences. These, as far as studies being done on it. It's going to be actually just what am I trying to say here? A lot of adult illnesses, not just like anxiety and depression. Again, it's more like obesity, cancers, all that kind of stuff, are increased when you have adverse childhood experiences. And adverse childhood experiences mean physical violence. They mean severe divorce, alcoholism, drug abuse, impairments, all this kind of stuff. There's all these little different lists of adverse childhood experiences that correlate with all kinds of illnesses as adults. Epigenetic, remember that one? It changes the genes. It changes the expression of the genes. It doesn't change the DNA per se, but it changes the expression of them, which is the phenotype. That's all that really matters anyway. So yeah, very interesting stuff. And here's the HPA axis. So various brain areas, they point to the right place. Where are we here? Yeah, this is figure 11.18. It's the prefrontal cortex. Okay, that's what the PFC is. What has you interpret the stressor. And so that's I just think it's kind of funny. So this is the H, this is the P, that's the A. So HPA axis. Right on the poor guy. Yeah, but yeah, it's the prefrontal cortex is the what interprets the stressful event. So they point to the right place. Again, I'm really wondering how much of this I need to cover. I mean, this you can read about this. I do have questions on it. So alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. Just people just kind of get exhausted and systems fail. Males tend to have fight or flight more than females. Females tend to have tend and befriend. Excuse me. They tend to protect their offspring as opposed to fighting to protect their offspring. So this is sort of the difference, a difference. And here's this. Playing some football, and they're having an argument over some football-related thing. So, as opposed to American football, what do they have to say? Aggressor, he strikes. If he strikes, the man on the right will need to respond, such as by fighting or fleeing. I suspect that guy does not look like he's going to flee, much more going to fight. And here's a tend and befriend. They have care for offspring and gather in social groups. So they're caring for offspring and gathering in social groups, as you can see. So psychoneuroimmunology, I think your textbook, it's short-term stress boosts it, chronic stress weakens it. Cold, you may notice that if you have if you're stressed, you may catch a cold easier. I should just get rid of that one. Okay, let's see. So they talk about lymphocytes. Okay, in your textbook, B cells, T cells, natural killer cells. B cells produce the antibodies. And you have lifelong immunity to some things, vaccinations, for example. We don't know, by the way, how long the immune system will, from being exposed to COVID, SARS-CoV-2 virus, will give you, how much will give you immunity. We don't know that. Hopefully, the vaccine that's coming around will give us more immunity. Pretty clever vaccine. So when it comes around, be sure you take it. Yeah, that's what I want to say about that. I think that's what I want to say from that. Your textbook goes into a lot of details on studies, which is good for you to read those because it kind of drives home the point. But excuse me. But for the most part, I'm kind of a big picture instructor. You need to know what these big ideas are. Type A and Type B behaviors. Type A is just intense. Type A, pattern of behavior characterized by competitiveness, achievement, orientation, aggressive, hostility, restless, inability to react. Whereas Type B is non-competitive, relaxed, easygoing, etc. So, live better with life, simple 7. This is a figure 11.22. Obviously, there it is. And here's kind of a Type A person, pretty intense. Got a little chart down there. And this gal's kind of a Type B, but she's pretty relaxed. However, lost her job. Just kidding. And here's some people yelling at each other. They're in the UK, I would think, maybe Jamaica. but in the UK, because look what side of the car they're driving on. And so they're upset with each other. And this is what happens to the heart. You build up this plaque. But again, if you see stress as your friend, this goes away. I'll just turn it into more. That's like more blood vessel because it's red. Yeah. So again, I need to be cautious about these because it's. I don't want to make it seem like stress is the enemy, because it actually can be your friend. Primary and secondary coping. Primary is making a decision whether it's stressful or not, and secondary is what you do about it. Focus on emotions to cope, as opposed to solutions. And people do both, right? They have emotions and problem focused. It's not like you either do one or do the other. It's usually both. And let's see, positive. Let's see, positive reappraisal, focusing on possible good things, comparing one to other people worse off. Positive meaning to ordinary events. People made it to work without crashing. That's a good thing. So acknowledge the good things that happen in life. Let's see. I'm gonna make sure. Okay. So view things constructively. This is making stress your friend. So yep, I'll have that one. Did I lose my? What happened here? Oh no, I lost my pin somehow. It does that on occasion. There, we got it back. So hardiness, the challenges, control of their lives. Again, that's what you want to be. And resilient is being able to bounce back from stressors. That's the idea. So what is happiness? Positive emotion and pleasure. Meaningful life. Meaningful life is a really good thing. You have to have, you want to feel good about yourself. That's the so-called meaningful life. Good relationships, achievement in life. Those are all lead to a happy life. Let's see. Emotions, happy to well-being, emotional health, work is good, physical health, etc. You can read those. Here's well-being. You'll notice that the South often has trouble with the well-being and abuse of kids and obesity and everything else. So kind of bad for it. But turns out we have pretty high well-being up here. We'll just sort of not think about the suicide rates we have up here, but that's okay. Many people are doing better. Be interesting to see how this changes with all the COVID. But we'll see. Come on, vaccine. Let's see. Let's go to this one. Right here. I think this is one that they left out. So being married is better for some. Here's this. This is 11.28. Okay, it's the same one that's from 2 editions ago, so I just kept it in. Still 11.28 though. That's kind of interesting. They usually aren't. So basically, most people. This is poor health, and most people can't be trusted. So again, Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina, Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, as opposed to, Washington, Oregon. Where's California? California is kind of in between there, but the South. No, do you see Montana? MT? You don't, because it's not in there. So I don't know where MT would be. So taking care of mind and body. And this is using psychology in your life, 11.15. And try some. These things definitely will help you. Okay? They definitely will help you if you do those things. Don't smoke, keep active, safe sex, relax, coping, social networks, spiritual life, and happiness exercises. Your textbook has a few of those. Where are they? Yeah, happiness exercises. This is on pages 464 and 465. So try those. They're actually pretty useful. All right. So here they are. I'm sorry. Write a letter of gratitude. 3 things that went well that day and why they went well. Time you did your very best and review the story. Imagine yourself 10 years, the best self you can get. And a journal about positive aspects. And act like a happy person. All right. So that's there. I don't want to keep those. Let's go back to here. And I need to stop sharing my screen. Okay, well, thank you once again. And we'll I need to stop recording. Well, not yet. I want to finish this. So thank you once again, and I will see you in chapter 12.